I will also start with a small biographical sort of a sketch on why did I end up thinking about environmental issues. Now, the funny thing is that maybe up till a very short time back, I didn't realize that I was actually thinking about environmental issues. And this just came as an afterthought that what I've gotten involved in the last 4 or 5 years, many of the issues are related to the environment. So, I mean, this is a really strange thing for me. 4 or 5 years back, when I joined LUMS, I was coming very fresh from a postdoc on quantum computing. And my doctorate was on mathematical methods in robotics. Nothing very, nothing directly to do with environmental issues, social issues, so on and so forth. So when I came here, I made a conscious decision that, I mean, it's about time that I should think about maybe a thread or two in my research that should directly link to where I'm sitting, the country that I am in, the society that I am living in, to have some sort of a direct impact. And this was just a sort of a side thought, a peripheral thing in my mind. Now, I started off as thinking about development issues and not environmental issues. And the theme that I picked was water. Now, after 4 or 5 years of digging into this water aspects and thinking about these issues again as development problems, what I've now realized is that what I have been looking all along in all of these different problems was actually aftermaths of large-scale environmental changes. And I'm not talking about climate change or things that you commonly hear about, oil spills and so on and so forth, but events from our history. And this turned up, and for example, the surgery that we did on our irrigation network when partition happened, and for example, or subsequently when we made a pact with India, giving away our 3 rivers as we call it, and the environmental impacts of that. So in multiple projects, I saw that thing coming back to me and making me realize that it was not really development that I was thinking about. It was really these environmental issues or in some sort of a sustainable development idea that I got involved in. So when I wanted to give you this sort of a biographical sort of a sketch, that this was not by a conscious effort, it just came as an afterthought. Now, about water, I basically, right now my group is looking at a whole range of ideas, dealing with not only issues of quantity, meaning that we have enough water, what can we do about it, and also about the quality of water, for example, monitoring the contamination aspects. So just as a sort of brief glimpse into what we are doing, let me start with our sort of a flagship project, which is about modernizing our irrigation canal infrastructure. And this was the first project that I got involved with. Now, this is, I can explain to you later what is really the motivation for this. There are a number of governance issues that drive it. There are a number of technological issues that derive this sort of a modernization, but we can talk about this later on. What we are doing in practice is that we are bringing a lot of ideas from, say, robotics, instrumentation, control, communication, and bringing them to these irrigation canal networks to sort of modernize. I mean, I can, for the students, you can sort of think of as we are building the Skynet for the canals, and hopefully, as we do this mechanization, going from the 19th century mechanization to these intelligent systems, I mean, these canals will not hopefully get smart and take over. That's not hopefully what we are getting into. So in some sense, we are sort of moving from plain old hydraulics to electronics coupled smart hydraulics. So a number of projects that we are involved in. We are working with the International Water Management Institute. We are building for them smart meters in southern Punjab to, for example, study scarcity patterns. That's one project that we have just begun. We are working with the Punjab Irrigation Department to study some demand-driven water supply systems based on our canal networks. Again, these are sort of very novel, new ideas that people are still thinking about whether to do them on the scale that we have or not, but we are building these sort of pilot projects for them. Now, secondly, we also care a lot about the quality of water, as I said. So we have just started one project with the Environmental Protection Agency in which we are building a big decision support system for them to monitor contamination.
in our river systems, in our groundwater flows, how that is coupling to the surface flows, and so on and so forth. And again, a lot of this is coming from our background in robotics, in instrumentation, the same sort of mathematical modeling techniques, instrumentation that we used in, say, mapping the environment for a robot. I mean, exactly those sort of things we are using for monitoring these water resources as well. So, I mean, in some sense, we are trying to do things on a different plane, doing not what others are doing, sort of bringing in complementary things, new ideas. Again, as you highlighted, that me being in electrical engineering, why should I think about water? So we are thinking about water in sort of very sort of novel and different sort of angles. Now, the third project that I would like to mention, and I would spend a little bit of a time on that. This is this idea of monitoring the Indus River dolphin. And this is a great environmental issue that, again, I just stumbled on it and later on found out that this was actually a very deep issue. Now, we partnered with the World Wildlife Foundation about 2 years back, and what they asked us to do was to build a sonar. This is the same sort of a military sonar that people use to detect submarines. And because these dolphins that, I don't know how many of you know that we actually have freshwater dolphins in our river systems, one of maybe the 4 species around the world, going towards extinction. The Chinese have already done away with them with their development projects, and we are well on our way to do that. So it's a very pressing issue for the wildlife people at least. But why do we care about this? So first of all, me as a technologist, this was a very interesting project that we are building these sonars, we are listening to their waveform. In fact, just last week we have had our first real recording of the sonars, and students are very happy about it. So science is very good. But on the other hand, if you look at it, this is really an indicator of the quality of the ecosystem and the quality of our water resources. And if you dig even further, the real cause of why the number is going down is related to the thing that I mentioned before: impulsive, large-scale environmental changes. It is only because we made this big irrigation network, diverted a lot of water resources by inundating the irrigation canals. That is how the population is actually going down. The dolphins are getting trapped in the barrages, in the canals, the water that we are polluting. And the evidence is really clear that, for example, after we signed the accord with India, 3 of our rivers just dried up. The range of those dolphins, I mean, these dolphins used to be here in Ravi River, in Beas, in Jhelum. There were sightings 50 years back, but no more. They're only now confined in short pockets between Taunsa and Gudu and other places in the Indus River. So why is that happening? I mean, it's all due to these rapid changes, this mad development that we are sort of bringing in. Now, I admit to this because I, being an engineer, I should be the first one to say that we do a development. I'm all for development, though that the building of that irrigation canal network, we should be thankful for it, because it made the dolphins disappear, but it also fed 180 million people for giving them the bread basket that they needed. But we have to be conscious about these issues, that if we do some sort of a large-scale engineering, the social engineering that happens because of these things, that's another thing. But purely from the point of view of environmental aspects, really, once you engineer these things, when you bring in these large development projects, you have to be prepared to face the consequences. And that is really the deep aspect that keeps me interested in this, not as just the technology, not just the nice waveforms that we see, the nice instruments that we build, but just these deeper issues of repercussions of extreme automation, the sort of development that we should go in the direction, in some sort of you can say ethical development, and not just mad development. So I mean, there are a number of other things. For example, we do robotics. We just built a system for landmine clearance. So I mean, there are a number of other things that we have also done that directly or indirectly relate to environment. But I wanted to highlight these 2 or 3 topics just as something that we have thought of in the last 4 or 5 years.